For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, for the record, for the record. Been a little too nice to y'all. Now I gotta up price on y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all. Shoulders on ice for y'all. Frozen. 8-6 all the hate. I won't get involved today. Got lost in the ball and age. I'm flipping the bars. I'm flipping the on record, off record. I still count.
Welcome. So today we're kicking off our 3-part series we're affectionately naming, What Are You Made Of? What are you composed of? But the most important thing in this whole process is a solid foundation, a platform where you can springboard into who you are going to become. So today we're going to start with where you are right now. Who am I right now? What am I right now? How am I conducting myself right now? Because it is very important from the very beginning to be truthful and 100% accurate in where we are. And be okay with that. And understand that it's okay to be where you are right now. Does that mean you have to dwell there? Consume yourself with where you are right now? Absolutely not. But you need to start taking inventory. We need to start taking inventory of where we are right now. If I'm a misogynist or I'm a scoundrel or I'm a lazy person, if I'm a procrastinator, if I'm a womanizer, if I'm a cheater, or alcoholic, a drug addict, somebody who chronically underperforms, I need to start omitting those things in the beginning and recognize and coming to grips with what I have wrought right now. Because it does me no good to self-inflate my own ego at this point at the foundation and try to ascend to where I want to be, the place I'm trying to go, that I'm trying to get to, only to realize that I can't attain it and nor can I hold it because I wasn't truthful from the beginning. So that's what we're getting into. The truth of the matter, the meat and potatoes of who we are. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start at some of the very first things that we should take inventory of. And sure, many might say this is a Freudian type of view because we're going to go back to the beginning. What did your childhood look like? How did your parents treat you? How did their parents treat them? What were your intimate relationships like? The people that you loved in the beginning, the people who you thought would care for you. Did they burn you? Did they backstab you? Did they cross you? Did they leave you out hanging to dry? Could you not trust them? Or was it the reverse? Could you trust them? Or was it a mix of the two? There was moments where you can trust them, and then there was moments where they stabbed you in the back when it was convenient. Let's start taking inventory there, because that plays a part into who we are now. Because if we don't recognize from the very beginning that we need to get over, come to grips with, resolve, relinquish, forgive, let go, cut off, eradicate the trouble of the past, then that's going to be nothing more than a weight that we'll have to bear and carry on our shoulders and our body and our mind and our emotions and our spirit into the future. So begin to take inventory of those things. How do you get beyond them? Will it take counseling? Will it take confronting that individual or those people? Will it take finally conquering that fear or that obstacle? That thing that you have been running away from this whole time? Because in order to get to where you want to be, I promise you one thing, And it's gonna hold true always. And that's that we can never run away from difficult conversations. If you did something to somebody that was traumatic or detrimental to them in any type of way, you should go and ask for forgiveness. Or if anybody had done anything to you, then you seek to forgive. Forgiveness is selfish. It's something that we say, you know what? I will no longer allow this thing to hold me prisoner. I must begin to move forward into the future so that I can become who I was called to be. Take an honest look in the mirror at yourself. You know, one of my favorite movies is a movie I saw as a kid. It was called Cool Running. It was about the Jamaican bobsled team, right? And there was a part of the movie that I loved, and it brings me to tears every time I watched it, and it still does to this day. And there was two characters. One was named Mule Brenner. Mule Brenner was a hard man, had a hard life. Some might even consider him a butthole or a thug, however you want to call it. But nothing in his life came to him easy, and he had got to where he was at that point in time because he was self-reliant. He did it on his own. And then you had a young man named Junior. Junior was your classic silver spoon type kid. His dad was an aristocrat. He was high up in the Jamaican economy. You know, his social mobility was extremely high. He didn't have to struggle for anything. The only thing was his dad was very controlling, and his dad didn't want him doing things that he thought was completely against or contrary to him possibly taking over the family business at some point in time. So anything that Junior wanted to do that contradicted that idea, the daddy was adamantly against. But Junior knew that the bobsled team is where he wanted to be. That is what he wanted to do. And it was time for him to become his own man. It was time for him to stretch. It was time for him to grow. It was time for him to step out in the world, take that leap of faith and ascend to who he was called to be. And because Mule Brenner had already done that earlier in life, because he realized that nobody was going to do anything for him but him, Mule Brenner sat him in the mirror so he can help Junior gain some perspective. This is what he said to Junior. Mule Brenner says, Junior, what do you see when you look in the mirror? And Junior starts to talk in this very unconfident and unsure way. He says, I see. And then Mule Brenner immediately interrupts him. He says, you know what I see? I see pride. I see power. I see a bad mother who won't take no crap off of nobody. He instructs Junior to say it, repeat it again. And then Junior, over repetitive times of saying this, gains that confidence. And he finally confronts his father. And he says, Dad, I want to be on the Jamaican bobsled team. This is something that I have worked for a long time. And it's my dream to go accomplish this. I am my own man now. How many of you all are ready to take that look in the mirror and become the man or woman that you were called to be and finally confront others and yourself about what is holding you back? We need to gain some perspective. Let's start at the foundation of this thing so that we can begin to build that strong foundation. And if we pour that concrete and if we lay in that rebar, we know that foundation will be solidified in truth, will be solidified in values, will be solidified in correctness, will be solidified in realism, will be solidified in accuracy, so that when we are ready to use that foundation, that base, that platform to springboard ourselves and project ourselves into the future, there won't be any cracks. There won't be any flaws. It'll be strong, steadfast. It'll be able to withstand the weight, the burden, the responsibility of ensuring that you're always grounded in who you were and where you're going, and you know your identity and you know who you are. It helps you build those guardrails that will keep you within your lane, your boundaries. It will stop you from veering off the path that you were called to be on. Sure, you want to go to the club. Sure, you want to go buy a new car. Sure, you want to play baseball when you should be focused on football, and you want to do UFC fighting when you should be focusing on boxing, and you want to play video games when you should be studying. That's what the guardrails are. If studying is what you're supposed to be doing at this point in time, your foundation helps you keep that in line. That's why this series is called, What Are You Made Of? What is your consistency, your composition? I love this subject, man. I love it. Because right now is the perfect time for us to break those generational curses and begin to seal up the foundation that was once cracked, because we believed that the things that was holding us back was core to who we are, and that was a false identity and a lie that was told to us over a cyclic amount of time. And it was all falsehood, a lie. You have every opportunity and the ability and the talents and the aptitude to seal up those cracks and make that foundation strong so that you can propel yourself into the future. Stop holding on to the past. Look yourself in the mirror. Come to grips with who you are. Come to grips with what you have brought to fruition in this world. Come to grips with who you are standing there right now, presently in the mirror, and say, I am who I am right now. But I promise you, where I am right now, who I am right now, when I get down the road and I look in the mirror again to gain that perspective, I will not be the person who I was. Because I started today to build that strong foundation that will propel me into the future. Just take a look around. Look at common engineering. We don't even have to go biblical with this thing. We can look at modern science. What is the first thing they do when they build anything that will oppose gravity? They build a strong foundation. That is why skyscrapers that reach for the heavens are blocks wide at its base, so that it can withstand the weight of the world and the stress of the world and the coming and going of the wind and the lightning strikes and the weight tolerance. And it goes as many stories up, and oftentimes there's many stories below. We just don't see it. That is the way you need to look at this thing. So what are you made of? What are you made of? Because it's game time, baby. It's game time. You're in it now. If you're sitting here as an adolescent or a young adult, you're in it now. It's game time right now. It is time for you to start building that base. You play any sports. Let's take any sports analogy. I don't care what sports it is that you play, or that you're thinking about playing, or you've watched played. What is the first thing they tell you? Power starts from the legs. Foot movement. Muscular endurance, the strength of your legs, the trunk. That's where your strength becomes. That's where your speed comes from. You take any high-performing athlete, and I promise you, they work on legs. That's what they say, baby. When you're in the gym, don't skip leg day. Don't skip leg day. You can't. That's the base. That's the foundation. That's where you start making your mark in this world, where you start building the composition to who you're going to be, that gym goer. That's why it's always funny when you see these people at the gym and they got these massive upper bodies and they're nothing but a big old upside down triangle because they have no legs. They have this big old mountainous upper body and they got twigs for legs. So they move awkwardly around the world because they're so top heavy. They topple over easy. So they don't work on leg day because squatting for them is there's no stability when they squat. Their knees are shaking. You didn't seen it. Got them noodle legs. They barely done half a rep. So what are you made of? Begin today to start looking yourself in the mirror and come to grips with who you are right now. That is very, very, very important. It is something that we oftentimes overlook, but if you do it right now, I promise you, you can begin today to break those chains of generational curses, break those chains of alcoholism, break those chains of procrastination, break those chains of poor habits, break those chains of underperforming, break those chains of laziness, break those chains of whatever negativity that you have going in your mind, that stinking thinking. This is where you defeat that. This is where you build that confidence. This is where you say, I am that I am, but I'm going to be better. And so I'm going to begin to walk in my calling right now and begin to reach for the things that I believe are mine because I have the confidence and I'm grounded in where I've come from. I know who I am. I know my identity. I have my guardrails up, and there's nothing that is going to take me off that path. As long as my foundation is grounded, as long as I'm rooted in the ground, as long as that foundation stands strong, as long as I know where I come from, as long as I know the beginnings of my origins, as long as I know that I am going to be better than what I came from, and that I've repaired the flaws of my past, there's nothing that's going to hold me back from my future. Man, cool running. Just think about that. Cool running, baby. So when you have a strong foundation, you have nothing but cool running. Cool running. You know that the winds may blow, tests may come about, storms may come and approach and cause pain and wreak havoc at times. But as long as we're grounded, we're going to have cool running because we know that the storm is going to pass. The obstacles are going to be overcame, and the successes and the goals that and the milestones that we want to attain are going to be ours when these things are far behind us. Man, was this a good one for you? I hope this was a good one for you. But begin to get that realistic perspective today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to today. I really appreciate it. Give yourself a round of applause, man. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you are. I don't care where you are at in life. I appreciate you, and you're worthy. I accept you as you are. I love you. I adore you. Your life has a purpose and a meaning. You have value. And if nobody's ever told you those things, I'm here to be the first to tell you, you have value. It's not over yet. Let's begin. Let's work together as a team right now to start building that strong foundation so that you can begin to become better than where you are right now. Because I promise you, where you're going is far better than where you are right now. Where you're headed, you'll be able to provide for yourself and others in ways you could have never dreamed about in your wildest imaginations. Thank you for tuning in today's episode of Grind Hard, Hustle Smart, ladies and gentlemen. I love each and every single one of you. You can find us on all major podcasting platforms. We're on Apple, we're on Amazon, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on Spotify, we're on Google, we're on them all, Stitcher, Radio Public, wherever you can find podcasts, guess what? We're on it. Just type in Grind Hard, Hustle Smart. And if you're watching us through YouTube, please share this with your friends. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. It really does help us out, and I really would appreciate the support. There's a lot that goes into this, and I love each and every one of you for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please go check out my website, thecharlesjohnson.com. That's where you can get another avenue of approach for the podcast. You can communicate with me directly. You can call in the business and leave a voicemail. You can book me for speaking engagements at that website. But please also don't forget thegrindishard.com, which is the merchandise platform or website for this podcast. Just go check us out. Check us out. You're free to look at all of that. All the links are down below. And as always, you all are awesome, amazing, wonderful human beings. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Anything you want in this world, you can go out and you can achieve as long as you put your mind to it, because I believe the gifts and the talents and the aptitudes that you have were given to you for a reason, and you have the reciprocal responsibility to give it back to the world. And as always, remember to wake up each and every single day to grind hard and hustle smart. Have a good one.